It begins on the night of a royal ball with the prince's furious declaration. Prince Elliot accuses his fiancée, Rachel, of being a wicked woman. He points a finger, calling her a witch in front of the entire court. But Rachel only breathes in slowly, her expression utterly calm. She informs the prince she has no intention of apologizing. The prince scoffs, calling it a waste of time to even offer her a chance. With a final, smug look, he has the guards take her away. He turns his back on her, walking away with his new love, Margaret. But as Rachel is led away, a small, knowing smirk plays on her lips. She whispers that she'll be sure to enjoy a slow, leisurely life. The prince's guard escorts the condemned woman to the royal prison. As the cell door opens, everyone freezes in shock. The cell is completely filled, floor to ceiling, with wooden crates. The warden stammers that some nobles asked to use it for storage. The guard is furious, but Rachel simply walks into the dungeon. She pulls the heavy iron door shut behind her. Then, with a soft click, she fastens a second padlock from the inside. The guards stare in disbelief, rattling the bars in a rage. A prisoner, locking herself near her own cell. Rachel simply states it's for her own safety, as an unmarried woman. Left dumbfounded, the guards can only report back to the furious prince. Meanwhile, in her cell, Rachel pours herself a cup of tea. She sighs in contentment, surrounded by cushions and books. She had prepared for this, sneaking in a siege's worth of supplies. Far away, the news reaches Duke Ferguson, Rachel's father. He slams his fist on the table, his face a mask of pure fury. He shouts that the idiot prince has awoken a demon from her slumber. A flashback shows a young, angelic Rachel smiling sweetly. And then, that same child, holding a beehive over some bullies. The same child, throwing stones at a boy struggling in a pond. Her father remembers lecturing her on physics just to stop her. He realizes the years of carefully managing her are now ruined. The prince has just flipped the entire game board over. Rachel's mother, Iseria, bursts into the room, sobbing hysterically. She's convinced that Rachel is going to murder everyone. Her husband can only say that the prince is already a dead man. Back at the palace, the prince is fuming. He orders his men to break the chains and confiscate her things. But the chains are too thick. The saws and shears are useless. Through the bars, Rachel giggles at their pathetic attempts. The prince screams at her, but she simply blames him for the mess. He threatens to have his men poke her with a spear. Rachel calmly pulls out a crossbow from one of the crates. The prince freezes, his face draining of all color. She mentions she was quite good at shooting birds from the sky. Defeated, the prince is dragged away, vowing she'll rot in there. He gives one last order. Don't send any meals down to Rachel. He imagines her begging for food within days. But Rachel is happily dining on roasted salmon and orange tart. She had 3 months of preserved food packed away. The prince learns this and stomps his feet in a childish tantrum. He orders his guards to simply leave her alone. In her cell, Rachel finishes all her books and grows bored. The quiet is unbearable. Even the prince has stopped visiting. She looks at her empty plate, craving freshly cooked meat. Then, a brilliant idea strikes her. She uses her crossbow to hunt for her own dinner. A crossbow bolt thunks into a mallard duck in the royal garden. It just so happens to be the Archduke's favorite duck, Enrique. The Archduke weeps publicly, causing huge embarrassment for the prince. The prince storms down to the dungeon, ready to scream at her. He finds Rachel calmly roasting the duck over a fire in her cell. He slumps against the bars, utterly defeated by this woman. Days pass, and Rachel once again finds herself bored. She decides, if she has nothing to read, she'll write something herself. She begins a new story, The Stupid Prince's Grand Tour. The main character is Prince Belmont, an empty-headed idiot. She writes a spin-off, a romance where the prince loves a knight. She has her loyal maid arrange for anonymous publication. The books become an unexpected, massive hit across the kingdom. Soon, everyone is reading about the adventures of the idiot prince. At the palace, the prince calls a meeting to discuss Rachel, but his men are distracted, buzzing about the new hit novel. They debate the characters, a beautiful noblewoman and a cute commoner. One of the men, George, blushes, arguing for the commoner girl. Another man, Wolanski, gets swept up in the discussion. He notes the noblewoman in the story has a perfect, natural figure. The other men gulp, suddenly realizing what he's implying. Wolanski reveals the noblewoman's greatest asset. She wears no corset. George protests, saying they can't abandon the cute girl for a sexy body. But Wolanski is on a roll, praising the power of natural beauty. The men are in awe of his impeccable persuasive power. They begin chanting his name, demanding a ban on makeup. Down with corsets. The meeting descends into chaos. The prince just scratches his head, totally bewildered. He can't figure out what this meeting was even about anymore. While the men argue about fiction, a real person approaches the prison. An old warden tries to block the gate, but she pushes past. A young girl with pigtails and a determined look on her face. She demands to see Rachel, announcing Margaret has come to visit. The girl screams her name is Margaret, here to see Rachel. The old warden grins, saying it's been a long time. Rachel stirs in her cell, awakened by the shouting. She groggily rubs her eyes as Margaret peeks through the bars. Margaret descends the stairs, teasing Rachel for being a sleepyhead. The warden wonders if maybe they're actually friends. Then, a brutal slam echoes through the dungeon. Rachel has forcefully driven her knee into Margaret's stomach. Margaret gasps, slammed hard against the cold iron bars. She stares in wide-eyed shock, unable to comprehend what happened. Rachel calmly retracts her knee, offering a bizarre apology. She says Margaret's tummy just looks so delectable that she simply couldn't help but give it a quick shot. Margaret, clutching her stomach, can only stare in disbelief. Rachel continues, saying she's resisted this urge for 10 years. But Margaret's aura was just screaming for a few good whacks. Red-faced and furious, Margaret demands to know what that even means. Rachel then looks thoughtful, a finger to her chin. She asks if they have perhaps met somewhere before. Margaret explodes in rage, restrained by the flustered warden. She screams that she will become Prince Elliot's queen. Then she storms off, warning Rachel that she'll regret this. Rachel watches her go, a strange thought crossing her mind. She feels a nostalgic fire burning inside her. She wonders if she could beat up His Highness as well. Miles away, in a grand mansion, the plan is in motion. Rachel's head maid, Sophia, reports that her lady is fine, but the Duke, Rachel's father, demands to know more. He frets about the king and queen's impending return. Sophia calmly reveals she's already handled it. She sent a coded message. The cats are at play. Their Majesties' return will be delayed indefinitely. The Duke stares, stunned by her cunning. Sophia suggests he and his wife visit a hot spring, where they might coincidentally run into the royal couple. With the masters away, the old butler Jonathan is put in charge. He watches them leave, dropping his papers in shock. Then Sophia announces she and another maid are also leaving. They have a business trip and won't be back for some time. Jonathan stands alone, realizing he's been left to manage the chaos. Under the cover of darkness, a hooded figure moves through the city. It's Sophia smuggling a cart of cat food past the guards. She arrives at the prison, where the patrols are laughably weak. Sophia pulls out a small key, a perfect copy. Rachel is waiting for her at the cell door. Sophia chides her, saying her lock-picking skills will get rusty. She brushes out Rachel's long hair, a quiet transformation beginning. They discuss the girl from earlier, whom Rachel calls Miss Punching Bag. A change of clothes, a touch of makeup, and the switch is complete. Sophia, now a perfect double, will take Rachel's place in the cell. She tells Rachel not to arouse suspicion. Rachel, now free, gives a sinister smile. First things first, how will she tear off the prince's right arm? She arrives at a hall and greets her friend Alexandra. The plan for Prince Elliot's downfall is officially underway. But first, a different party is about to be crashed. The dungeon has been transformed into a lavish banquet hall. Nobles, merchants, and ambassadors mingle and drink. A cardinal raises a glass, toasting Rachel in her cell. Prince Elliot arrives, and his jaw drops in fury. He screams at the guards, demanding to know why they allowed this. The guards are helpless. Everyone had a written invitation. Rachel appears in a stunning red gown. a glass of wine in hand. She welcomes the prince to her housewarming party. Elliot is speechless, surrounded by powerful people he can't offend. Margaret, seeing her chance, steps onto a wooden crate. She declares to the crowd that Rachel is the true villain. After a moment of silence, the entire room erupts in laughter. They think it's the best joke they've heard all night. Humiliated, Margaret can only watch as the party continues. The celebration is a roaring success, a total victory for Rachel. Later, she meets with Alexandra, plotting her next move. She decides she must crush the prince before he does something reckless. The target, his closest aide, and her younger brother, George. George returns to his study, fuming about Rachel's antics. He stops. The room has been completely ransacked. All his secret diaries and embarrassing possessions are on display. He panics, frantically searching for who could have done this. Then he spots it, a single, elegant envelope on his desk. A chill runs down his spine as he opens the letter. It's from Rachel, a memoir filled with nostalgic childhood memories. Humiliating, secret memories of him wetting the bed and stealing underwear. She threatens to send this book to their parents. George races to the prison, his face pale with terror. He falls to his knees, begging his sister for mercy. She makes him call her sissy, like when they were children. She forces him to swear he will protect her from the prince. Utterly broken, he agrees to everything she asks. As he leaves, a figure emerges from the shadows. It's Alexandra, holding the blackmail book with a triumphant smirk. Dragged from the water, Margaret feels her arm twisted behind her back. She tries to struggle, telling her captor to unhand her. The figure holding her is a royal guard. He coldly informs her that she is under arrest. Her mind goes blank. Under arrest for what? She's thrown onto the cold, tiled floor of her room. Water pools around her, soaking her dress. She lies there, utterly defeated and shivering. A single, terrifying thought echoes in her mind. Her days, she thinks, are surely numbered. A few days later, a strange peace settles over the palace. In a quiet room, Martina sits on the lap of a bandaged Sykes. She sweetly asks him if he loves her. Looking dazed, he replies, "Yeah, of course." He then asks if she'd like a mermaid wedding dress. She beams with joy, eagerly agreeing. Meanwhile, the royal council discusses the volatile couple. They decide Martina and Sykes are too much trouble for the capital. The best plan is to send them far, far away. A long, extended honeymoon on the remote frontier. Miles away, the king and queen are enjoying their vacation. Or they were, until the report started arriving. Stack after stack of meticulously detailed documents. The king complains about being constantly nagged to return. He can't believe how his own court officials are struggling. These reports are better than anything they produce. He wonders aloud who could possibly be writing them. A royal aide grumbles about the mysterious deliveries. He says it's bad for his heart finding reports on his bedside table. A maid smiles sweetly, admitting it was her first delivery. He mutters that it's just the first she'll admit to. The queen begins to read from the latest report. It's a rich, comprehensive illustration of events. It details Prince Elliot's total neglect of his duties. It describes his obsessive harassment of Miss Rachel, and the political chaos from the broken engagement. The queen stops reading, a thoughtful look on her face. She declares there is only one person she'd consider for the next queen, and that person is Rachel Ferguson. The report was written by Rachel herself. The king remembers finding Rachel by a pond once. She had been calmly pelting Prince Elliot with stones. He admits he admires her talent and steadfastness. She has a firm grasp on everything around her. This is the kind of talent that can rally a nation. The queen agrees, seeing the truth in the reports. A marriage between Rachel and Elliot is now impossible. She says if Elliot is truly guilty, there is no hope for him. A decision forms in her mind. They must rein in their foolish son and place their second son, Raymond, in line for the throne. The king sighs, his vacation officially over. His back still aches, but he agrees they must return. He pens a simple reply to the latest report. The message is short. "I'll do my best." Back in the capital, a maid delivers the urgent news. She tells Rachel that their majesties are returning. Then she relays the final, stunning message. Prince Elliot is to be replaced by Prince Raymond. Rachel covers her mouth. her eyes wide with shock. A joyful, "Oh my!" escapes her lips. But then, a different feeling washes over her. She flops back onto her bed, groaning dramatically. Her 3-month vacation, she laments, is over. She wonders aloud what the prince could have done. Her maid gives her a deadpan look from the side. She reminds her lady how rare it is to keep a job after a long holiday. Rachel pauses, a thoughtful expression on her face. Is that how it is?" she muses quietly. The maid continues, her tone brutally practical. "Being a duke's daughter isn't a role you can be fired from." Rachel's mind begins to churn. She was supposed to be trapped in a gilded cage, but she had just rattled the bars and reshaped the kingdom. Perhaps this cage wasn't so secure after all, just as a quiet routine seems possible. A familiar armored figure appears in the palace halls. It's Martina, returned from the frontier without Sykes. An acquaintance asks what she's doing back so soon. Martina holds up a small, unassuming book. The title reads, "His Highness aims at me." She says she came to discuss an important matter with the prince. The prince takes the book, his eyes narrowing. He reads a passage, and a gasp escapes his lips. The book claims His Highness forced himself upon Sykes. It claims he ravished him, despite Sykes's hatred. The prince freezes, his face draining of all color. Wait, he stammers, his eyes wide with panic. "What is that book?" he cries, utterly terrified. A new, scandalous chaos is about to begin. The prince's blood runs cold. His frantic eyes are locked on the scandalous book. Martina holds it out, her expression unreadable. What is this joke?" Elliot sputters. He reaches for it, his hand trembling uncontrollably. Martina pulls it back just out of his grasp. A faint, cruel smile touches her lips. She informs him it's a work of nonfiction, a tragic tale of unrequited love and betrayal. She says the people find it quite compelling. Elliot's jaw hangs open in utter disbelief. "This is slander. It's treason," he yells. His voice cracks, shrill with desperation. Martina simply tilts her head with faux sympathy. She asks if he is denying his feelings for Sykes. The prince recoils as if she had struck him. She adds that the first printing has already sold out. The words hit him like a physical blow. It's already out there. Everyone knows. He lets out a choked, desperate sound of pure horror. The scene shifts to the bustling palace corridors. News of the book spreads like an unstoppable wildfire. A young woman with pink hair reads a copy. Her knuckles are white, her face twisted in rage. Beside her, a blond nobleman slams his fist on a table. He curses Rachel's name under his breath. They can't believe she would stoop this low. Meanwhile, Sykes is found in the training grounds. Another knight approaches, holding the book. Sykes stares at the cover, his face deathly pale. He looks utterly lost, completely horrified. The knight asks him if there's any truth to it. Sykes can't seem to form any words at all. He just shakes his head, looking physically ill. Whispers follow him as he flees the room. In the main hall, nobles gather in hushed groups. They pore over copies of the salacious new novel. Some look shocked, others morbidly fascinated. They cast furtive glances toward the royal chambers. The prince's reputation is shattering in real time. His few remaining allies don't know how to react. The accusation is too specific, too poisonous. Martina walks calmly, right through the chaos. A deeply satisfied smile plays on her face. She has thrown the entire court into disarray. She thinks to herself that Rachel will be very pleased. The enraged, pink-haired girl storms up to her. She demands Martina retract this disgusting lie. Martina just looks at her with cold pity. She suggests the girl should ask the prince himself. Elliot paces his lavish room like a caged animal. He feels the walls closing in around him. His political career is over. His life is ruined. He has to fix this. He has to find Sykes. He bursts out of his room, ignoring the guards, calls. He finds Sykes hiding out in the royal stables. The young knight flinches when he sees the prince. Elliot grabs him hard by the shoulders. His eyes are wild, bloodshot and pleading. He tells Sykes they have to deny everything. They must tell the whole world it is a lie. Sykes refuses to meet his desperate gaze. Tears well up in the young knight's eyes. He stammers that he doesn't know what to do. Elliot shakes him, demanding he speak clearly. "Why won't you say it's a lie?" he screams. Sykes just sobs, crumpling to his knees. The prince stares down at the broken man before him. A horrifying new thought begins to form in his mind. This pathetic display is not helping his case at all. The scene dissolves, shifting to a quiet prison cell. Sunlight streams peacefully through a barred window. Rachel sits calmly at a small, elegant table. She holds a delicate porcelain teacup in her hand. A guard stands before her, giving his report. He details the absolute chaos gripping the palace. He mentions the prince's frantic desperation. He describes Sykes's very public breakdown. Rachel listens without a single change in expression. A tiny, smug smile graces her lips. She takes a slow, deliberate sip of her tea. Everything is proceeding exactly according to her plan. The guard asks if she has any further orders. Rachel looks up, her eyes sparkling with pure mirth. She tells him to simply keep her informed. She wants to hear every last delicious detail. The guard bows and retreats, leaving her alone. Rachel leans back in her chair, perfectly content. Her slow prison life was proving quite entertaining. The entire kingdom was now dancing on her strings.